All right, so you know the drill. You've been deep in the trenches, talking to users, swimming in interview transcripts. Maybe you've even got that wall of sticky notes going.
Oh yeah, the classic sticky note wall.
Yeah.
Seen many of those.
You've done all the research. But then what? Like, what's the crucial next step? How do you take that mountain of raw info and actually point it towards a design that,
Yeah,
works?
exactly. That leap is critical.
It feels like that's where things can go sideways, translating the research into actual design problems.
It really can, and that's what we're diving into today, how to take all that rich understanding and shape it. Shape it into design problems that are, well, solvable and actually matter.
Yeah, problems worth solving.
Right. It's the point where, honestly, a lot of people feel overwhelmed. You've got all these great detail, user frustrations,
Hmm.
and the temptation is just jump straight to fixes. Let's change this button. Let's add a tooltip.
Right, the quick solutions.
But if you haven't clearly nailed down the core challenge, you risk just spinning your wheels. You might be fixing symptoms, not the real underlying issue.
Okay.
So our mission today really is to give you a clearer path, how to get from those research findings to sharply focused design problems, make sure your creative effort actually hits the target.
Okay, let's unpack that foundational bit then.
Yeah.
Why is framing the problem so crucial? It sounds maybe obvious, but what happens if you don't get it right? What are the pitfalls?
Well, the biggest danger, plain and simple, wasted effort. Lots of it.
Right.
If you solve a problem that isn't really the user's core need, or maybe it doesn't line up with the business goals,
Hmm.
then all that brainstorming, prototyping, coding it might not lead anywhere good.
It could be a dead end.
Exactly. Effective framing, it's like your North Star. First, it just gets everyone on the team on the same page, a shared understanding of what we're trying to fix.
Alignment.
Alignment, precisely. Second, it keeps the focus squarely on the user, their real frustrations, their needs. And third, it connects what you're doing in design back to the bigger picture, the business strategy, making sure your work actually, contributes.
So it's way more than just like writing down a sentence. The problem is X. There are choices involved.
Oh, absolutely. Deliberate choices. Problem framing is active. You're filtering, you're focusing. You look at all the complexity from your research and you consciously decide, okay, this is the most important thing to tackle right now.
Go.
It's about finding those core issues, understanding the why behind them, and then defining the specific impact you want your design to have. It's about bringing clarity, laser focus.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Could you walk us through an example? Say we did interviews for a new fitness app,
Sure.
and we heard things like, I have no idea how to set up a workout plan, or the app feels cluttered, I can't find stuff. And maybe I started tracking runs, but then I just stopped. Wasn't clear what to do next.
Okay, typical findings.
So the knee-jerk reaction might be, okay, redesign the navigation, add a tutorial. But you're saying,
Whoa.
pause.
Absolutely pause, because while those comments point to issues, right, they might just be symptoms.
Yeah.
Instead of jumping to UI fixes, we step back. Ask deeper questions, like what's the fundamental reason users feel lost setting up a plan? Where's the real friction point that makes them abandon tracking? And crucially, what outcome are we actually aiming for? Is it just getting them to set up one plan, or is it something bigger, like empowering them to hit their fitness goals through, consistent use?
Okay, I see that difference. So not just navigation is confusing, but why is it confusing? What's the real consequence for the user?
Exactly.
So how do we bridge that gap? Take those individual comments feeling lost, cluttered interface, stopping usage, and synthesize them into something more strategic.
You look for the patterns, the recurring themes, and importantly, the emotional core. What's the feeling behind the feedback?
Right.
In your fitness app example, you've got users feeling lost, maybe overwhelmed, lacking a clear path forward. That's stopping behavior. That's a strong signal of that underlying confusion or lack of perceived value. So pulling those together, we might synthesize it into a problem statement like, users struggle to stay engaged with the app. That's the core issue, because they lack clear guidance on how to integrate it into their fitness routines and understand its ongoing value.
Okay. That feels different. It's broader than just the UI.
It moves beyond just the surface stuff. It
Yeah.
focuses on the deeper problem.
Hmm.
Engagement, perceived value over time. That's a much richer problem to solve.
That reframing definitely shifts the focus, yeah. So once we have a more strategic statement like that one, how can we dig into it? Are there specific tools, frameworks maybe, to help us explore it from different angles?
Yes, definitely. There are some really helpful frameworks out there. One very popular one is using how might we questions.
Yes, HMWs.
Exactly. You take your problem statement and you rephrase it as an open-ended question. It's designed to spark a wider range of ideas. So taking our fitness app example, users struggle to stay engaged because they lack clear guidance. We could turn that into, how might we empower users to seamlessly integrate the fitness app into their daily routines?
Okay.
Or how might we clearly demonstrate the app's value in helping users achieve their goals? See how that opens things up.
Yeah, it feels much more generative, less like stating a fact and more like posing a challenge.
Right.
I like that. What else? What's another framework you find useful?
Another really valuable lens is the jobs to be done framework, JTBD.
Right, heard of that one?
This pushes you to think about the fundamental job the user is trying to get done when they hire your product. What progress are they trying to make in their life?
Okay, so less about the app features, more about their life goal.
Precisely. It's about their underlying motivation. So for the fitness app, a JTBD perspective might sound like, when I want to get healthier, I want to easily understand how this tool fits into my life and helps me make consistent progress so I can achieve my fitness goals.
That really reframes it around the user's aspiration.
It does. It shifts your thinking from just fixing the app to helping the user make progress. And that can lead to very different, often more impactful design ideas.
Interesting. So instead of just tweaking the onboarding, we might think about things like, I don't know, proactive goal-setting support, or maybe personalized feedback showing their progress towards their actual health goals.
Exactly that kind of thinking. And a third approach, which is really good for untangling complexity, is using problem trees.
Problem trees. Sounds visual.
It often is, but you can think through it conceptually too. Imagine the main problems, say, low user engagement at the top, like the trunk.
Okay.
Branching down from that are the symptoms you observe users dropping off, not setting up plans, maybe negative feedback. Those are the branches.
Got it.
And then for each symptom, you keep asking why. Why are they dropping off? Maybe the initial value isn't clear. Why isn't it clear? Perhaps the onboarding is confusing. You keep digging down to the roots.
So you trace the symptoms back to the underlying causes.
Exactly. It helps you map it all out and identify those really fundamental root causes that your design needs to address, rather than just trimming the leaves, so to speak.
Right, getting to the actual root of the problem.
Yeah.
These frameworks seem like great ways to really dissect the challenge. But, research often surfaces lots of issues, lots of potential problems. How do we decide which ones get tackled first? Everything can feel important.
That's a very real challenge. And it brings us to strategic prioritization. It's a key part of framing. You simply can't fix everything at once.
No, definitely not.
So you need a way to assess these potential design challenges. Ask some key questions first.
Right.
How big is the impact? If we solve this, how much better is it for the user, for the business?
Okay, impact.
Second, how urgent is it? Is this a critical blocker? Something stopping users cold? Or is it more of a nice-to-have improvement?
Urgency, right.
Third, how well does solving this align with our bigger goals? The product strategy, the company objectives, does it move the needle where we need it to?
Strategic alignment.
And finally, maybe obviously, but can design actually solve this? Is it within our sphere of influence? Some problems might need changes elsewhere, maybe in operations or marketing.
Good point. Design can't fix everything.
Yeah.
Those are really solid questions for evaluation. You mentioned a visual tool earlier, too.
Yes. A simple but really effective one is the impact versus effort matrix.
The classic 2x2.
The very same. You draw a grid. One axis is impact low to high. The other is effort low to high. Then you plot your potential problems on it.
Okay.
Things that land in high impact, low effort, those are your quick wins, often great places to start.
The low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. High impact, high effort might be major strategic initiatives. Low impact, high effort, maybe those go on the back burner or you don't do them at all.
Right. And low impact, low effort might be worth doing if they're really low effort.
Perhaps. But the matrix just gives you a really clear way to visualize the trade-offs and have conversations with stakeholders about where to focus resources. It makes prioritization less subjective.
Yeah, I can see how that would facilitate discussion. Okay, so we've journeyed from raw research through synthesis, using frameworks, and now we've prioritized. We have a clear, important problem. How does doing all that groundwork properly set us up for the next stage, actually generating ideas? Ideation.
The connection is incredibly direct. and vital. A well-defined problem is basically the launchpad for good ideation.
How so?
Well, think about the opposite. If your problem statement is vague, fuzzy, poorly defined, what happens when you try to brainstorm?
It's probably all over the place. Unfocused.
Yeah,
Chaotic, maybe.
exactly. You get unfocused brainstorming, maybe lots of ideas, but they might not actually address the real need. They might be solutions looking for a problem.
Right, been there.
But a clearly framed problem, it gives your creative thinking a specific, meaningful target. It channels the energy.
Okay, so what makes a problem frame good for ideation? What are the characteristics we're aiming for?
Great question. First, it absolutely has to be human-centered, rooted in understanding real user needs, their pains, their motivations, not just driven by tech capabilities or what the business wants to push.
User first, got it.
Second, it needs a clear why. Why are we tackling this problem? What's the reason? What's the desired outcome? That why provides the motivation and measure of success.
Makes sense.
And finally, and this is important, it needs to create enough space for different solutions. It should be specific enough to provide focus, but not so narrow or prescriptive that it basically dictates the solution up front.
So define the problem, not the solution.
Precisely. You're defining the what and the why, but leaving room for creativity on the how. That's where great ideation happens.
This whole process really elevates the importance of that framing stage. It's not just paperwork before the real design work starts.
Not at all. It is real design work. It's fundamental.
It seems clear that taking that time, being deliberate about framing problems, it's essential if you want to create designs that actually work, that are effective, meaningful.
Absolutely. I mean, to put it simply, designing without a clear problem is like setting off on a road trip without a destination in mind.
You'll end up somewhere.
You'll end up somewhere, sure, but probably not where you intended. And you'll waste a lot of gas or effort getting there.
Yeah.
Investing that time and thought into framing properly, it ensures your design work is focused, it's purposeful, and ultimately, you're just far more likely to build products that people actually need and that achieve the goals you set out to achieve.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about a recent project or that last pile of research you waded through. What if you went back and tried to reframe the core challenge? Could asking how might we, or thinking about the job to be done, lead you to see it differently? Maybe unlock some totally new ideas.
It's a powerful exercise.
It really is just about taking that moment to truly understand the question before you rush off trying to find the answer.